Now today I want to take a look at the Trend T1 palm router. Now I've bought the kit form, which is called the EPS. The P stands for plunge, and the kit itself comes with the plunge router as well. So first of all, let's have a look what's in the bag which comes with the kit. Now I'm not going to do a detailed review of the router itself. I want you to see how it's made and how well it's put together, whether it's accurate. So that's the purpose of today's video, not a full review. So in the box we've got the fence for the plunge router, the plunge router itself, the base for the palm router, which has got an extended base to make it easier to control, dust extraction for the plunge router, and a small fence for the palm router. Now let's have a look at the main motor. This is the centre of the equipment. This is a solid aluminium casting with the motor inside it, and that's the key to the whole operation. So this is a 710 watt router with a 1/4 inch collet, and it has a soft start motor, and it is also variable speed. So it contains most of the things you'd need. There's no instant brake, and there's no cut off if you happen to drop it, but it does have variable speed and soft start, which is really helpful when you're starting a piece of work. It isn't a brushless motor as some of the or most of the battery operated ones are. It's operated by mains power, and it has carbon brushes, but you can change those if they do wear out just by flicking a screwdriver into the brush holders on either side. The thing that I was most concerned about when I started looking for a router was to make sure that they were accurate and that there was no play in the collet, and this is absolutely firm in the housing and in the bearings. There's no play in that at all, so that should be a benefit. The collet itself is a 4 sector collet, which enables you to grip the 1/4 inch bits very, very firmly. Now you can't use metric grips with this particular version. If you want to use metric, you have to order the European version, which will take up to 8mm bits. A useful feature on this is also the fact that there is a spindle lock, so if you press this little lever in, it sends a pin across to the spindle, which will engage with a hole which stops the spindle turning, so you can use a spanner on the head and change the bits without having to use 2 spanners. So that's the basic motor unit. It's got some very detailed depth markings in both imperial and metric, and it's raised up and down in its housing with this ratchet and cog system, which we'll have a look at shortly. So let's now mount this in the palm router base, which is this one, which has an extended base plate, albeit plastic, but enables you to move it around more accurately when you are doing delicate work. The motor just slides in with the ratchet connecting with this screw, which has a cog on the inside, so you just have to line that up, and then that will go down. To lock it, you just pull the lever back, and that clicks into place, and you can read off the scale on the bottom. So that's how you would mount and use the palm router. If you wish to make detailed adjustments, you have to relax the grip on the clamp, so you need to hold the top part with your other hand, otherwise it will just plunge to the bottom. But if you undo that, you can then make a detailed adjustment and check the depth. In reality, you'd probably check the depth looking at the router bit and its position on the piece of work. But you really do need to hold that, otherwise it will just drop down to the bottom. The ratchet perhaps isn't precision engineered, but at least it's workable, and if you want to just grip it whilst you make a gentle adjustment, you can just move the lever a fraction and then fully grip it when it comes in. What I found when I was starting to examine this was that this lever trapped my thumb between the edge and the washer, so as I turned it round like that, it nipped my thumb in that position. So what I found was that when I'm opening this, it's better to put the thumb on the wheel at the bottom on the knob and then pull the lever out so that you don't risk nipping your finger. There is a dust extractor which fits very easily onto this. You just have to remove the side screw, and there's a lug on one side, a screw hole on the other side. You just drop that into place, and to get it on the other side you just lift the locating lug into the hole, and there it is fixed on. You then replace the screw just to make sure that it doesn't fall off, but you do need to take that off when you remove the bits or change the bits, which is a bit inconvenient. The router fence for this looks a bit flimsy, but the metal itself is just about thick enough to be rigid. There is a little bit of play in the sliding mechanism, so whilst that slides up and down quite nicely, there's a little bit of play in there, and even when it's tightened up with pressure, you could move it across just a fraction, only a little bit, but I think it's because it's not an engineered piece, it's just a bent metal, so I think I'll probably put that in the vise and just squash it to a little bit and make it a little bit tighter. But if it goes too tight, it won't be able to slide. That just fits onto this screw at the back. Get the washers out of the way, that goes on there, and you just screw it up until it's firm, and that will form your fence for straight work. So that's the router in its palm router base. Let's now take it out and put it in the plunge base. So undo the clip and then just pull it out. Then we can take the plunge base, and in this case it locates in a groove at the back which goes on a little pin just there, so I've got to locate that onto the pin, and that will go straight down. You can then lock it with a lever similar to the other, but you tend not to get your fingers trapped in this one, so it's better. So that will close too. Then it's firm. There's the usual lock lever on here, so the router will go down and you can lock it in place at the depth you wish. My fingers aren't quite long enough for that. So all that works very well. There's very little play in the plunge mechanism itself. That's very well engineered, and it's easy to slide. The springs aren't too stiff. The thing that I wasn't too pleased about, but it's only a minor point, was that the guide here, which shows the depth, won't actually align up with the 0 position on the scale. So it's just above the 0 position when it's in its base plate position. So I'll probably take that off and just sand off 1mm of the thickness of it, so that when it's seated it's actually going to line up with the 0 on the scale. I think it's just that they've stuck the scale on and it's not been precisely lined up when they stuck it on, but that's something that's easy to change if you wish to. The great thing about this router is that there is a turret so that you can set depth stops. There's a variable stop to get you the main depth, and then you have the turret to be able to set different depths and click between them if you've got some set work to do. When I first got this, the turret itself was a little bit loose, so I thought, well, that's going to be a bit awkward, but what had happened is that they hadn't tightened the centre screw quite enough. I've tightened that and it's been fine since, and it now clicks firmly into place, and obviously you can adjust the height of the screw pins. Now, the main depth stop, of course, is this rod which goes down and rests on the top there, and you can do micro adjustments with this screw thread, which is a screw right inside that you level up with the bottom to be precisely on your height. But if you want to do a micro adjustment on that, then you turn this knob at the top, and the centre part gradually comes out, which you can just see there at the bottom, so that each of the divisions on here is 1/10 of a millimetre, and this will go around several turns, so you can do it through several millimetres back and forth and adjust the depth by 1/10 of a millimetre, which is pretty good. It's probably more accurate than the cutter will cut, really. So all in all, I'm quite pleased with that. The fence that comes with this is actually quite a substantial fence, much more substantial than the fence for the hand router. So it's a very solid metal. It is preformed, but it's almost like a casting. So that just slots into the sides. I think we've probably got the screws down too far on this. So you can take that across, set the fence wherever you wish, and then tighten the screws down. So that's quite accurate. There are 3 screws on this, so it is going to be pretty firm when you've got it in there. Now, if you wish to attach the I'll just take that out for ease at the moment, but one of the screws doubles up as the anchor point for the dust extractor. Now, the dust extractor is fairly easy to fit, so that goes in there. I need to take this screw out altogether, and each of these screws has got a spring on it. So on this I've just put a little rubber bush on there to stop the spring falling off, since this is the one you have to take out. So to get the dust collector in, it goes into a little slot at the far side just here with a little lug, and on this side there is a flexible plastic pin that just drops into a little hole. There's a hook on the end, so once it's in, it's quite firm, and then you replace the screw to make sure that it's not going to move, and the screw is also the third anchor point for the fence, just to stop it moving. I'm not going to screw all that down at the moment. So that's basically the Plunge router base, and let's do it standing up. So that's a very nice movement, and I'm back to front, of course, so I'll be doing it the other way. So I would really be doing it that way so that the handles are sloping in the right direction. So that's the Plunge router base. What else is there in the bag? Something that you need when you're changing the router bits is the spanner. There's also a centering cone, so that when you take the base off and fit the bearing for the jig, so that would go into the centre and that would go into the spindle, and then you would adjust the base plate to make sure that was absolutely correct. The bearing for using jigs is supplied. They just supply one and a couple of screws, which are doubtless going to get lost, so that just goes into there, and you locate it in the screw holes and screw it in. So obviously it's important that that's dead centre, because that's going to be running on the side of the jig, so as you go in different positions the whole base plate needs to be accurately aligned. And of course when you've finished, it will all pack away into the case. I've left that with the motor attached to it, so that will go in there. This will go in the side, and just in case we need the router bits, they will go in the back pocket as well. Now to coil up the cable. Stow that away. There's room for the small fence and the large fence, which will go round the handle, and that will just about fit in the case when it's zipped up. Well, I hope you found this brief examination of the Trend T1 palm router kit useful. I thought it was useful for me to buy the kit with the plunge base, because I don't have a router and I would only want to be doing fairly small jobs. If you want to be doing big jobs, then you would probably need a more powerful router. But at 710 watts, that's a sort of decent power for a hand router. Certainly a palm router. Most of them are about 600 watts. So I'm hoping that the power will be sufficient for anything I want to do. The build quality I thought was surprisingly good for the price. I mean, it's priced quite a bit below the main brand names, although quite a bit higher than some of the cheaper ones, the really cheapest you can get. But I wouldn't risk a really cheap brand. Trend is a British company, and they are trying hard to produce really well engineered tools for people at a reasonable price point. They are of course made in China, like most things, but in terms of the quality that they're turning out, it's well engineered and ground inside so that there's no slack. I'm particularly impressed with the plunge router base, and the fact that it is very smooth with very little play in it, and I think that will be a very useful addition. So if you're interested in this, then have a look at the Trend website and various retailers. I got this one from Screwfix because it's my local shop, and if there's anything wrong with it, then I can take it back, but there won't be, I'm sure. That's the Trend T1 palm router in the kit, which is the EPS kit. The P stands for plunge, with the plunge router in the bag.